Welcome to another episode of the High Net Worth Investors Guide. Today we are going to be looking at branding and marketing, but of course, we're going to be looking at it with a twist. We're going to be looking at it from a beginner standpoint. So, we're going to be examining some of the challenges that business startup experience. And at the end of the day, we will be identifying practical steps and solutions that businesses can take to cash flow their business the fastest. With me today in the studio, we have a number of dynamic personalities who represents a broad scope of business platforms. We have Paul, and he represents the financial market. We have Grant, and he has a tremendous wealth of knowledge behind him when it comes to personal branding and corporate branding. He has also worked with Fortune 500 companies. We have Miss Lois. Lois is one of the newest additions to our community, but she also comes with a very rich background. She's a certified real estate agent, and she has tremendous history and passion as relates to insurance, life insurance. So she's definitely one of our go-to life insurance specialists. We also have Peter, and Peter, he too has a depth of knowledge and experience and passion. His commitment is to people, and what he wants to do is to help people to develop their master plan when it comes to business and when it comes to leading their lives. So, with that being said, this represents a team of dynamic personality that will be talking to me today about beginners' experience as relates to branding and marketing. Just a little pause. This program comes to you with the kind compliments of the Bestseller Portal. If you look on screen, you will see the bestsellerportal.org that is being there on screen. I want to encourage you to go to that website. You're able to get books on businesses, how to scale a business the fastest, how to cash flow your business the fastest, and you can also get greetings cards for all occasions. So I encourage you to go to that website and really um, get those offers that are there. Now, I want to ask Miss Lois to just give us an insight about who you are. So those who are looking at this program for the first time, they have an appreciation as to who you are and the portfolios that you represent. All to you, Miss Lois.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. So my name is Tadessa, short Tadessa for short, and I am a licensed real estate agent in New York and in New Jersey. But the great thing is the company that I'm with, Keller Williams, I'm able to make referrals international. So in addition to that, I am licensed insurance agent in several different states as well. And both of those things complement each other because when you purchase a home or an investment property, you also want to like protect that, right? So a lot of times people think, let me invest, let me buy. But what about like the insurance part of it? What if you're like the breadwinner of the family? Do I have the proper insurance? So I am passionate about making sure that whoever my clients are, if it's you want to buy insurance or if you want to buy investment property, that you're taken care of. So I lead with being in service to others just to make sure that you are overall protected on so many different levels. And just so you know a little bit about me, how do I get that information out to folks is through word of mouth, seminars, and a platform like this sort. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. Thanks for sharing. And that I'm so excited to hear, to have you here, first of all, and to based on the fact that I know that you can make so much of significant contribution in really helping person through their real estate purchase and through their life insurance experience. And we will definitely be hearing more from you. I want to come now to Mr. Grant. For those who might have never seen you on the program, although I know you're one of the most famous persons they are. You have done a lot of work. I would love for you to just tell us a little bit about yourself so our viewing audience have a clear idea as to who you are.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for being here this afternoon on Saturday. You chose this platform. You could have been doing anything else, but you chose this. So we want to give you value, the value that you're looking for. I've been in the business development space for the last 25 plus years for Fortune 500 companies, a lot in the information technology, working with brands like Avaya, Cisco, Pure Storage, AT&T, CenturyLink. I can go on and on and on as far as that. And I realized about, actually, now if I think about it, it's been about 10 years that personal branding is the way to actually get your message across. To create brand identity is so important when you're looking to scale a business. People will do business with you if they know, like, and trust you, but they first have to get there. You have to provide the information and fill it in with the intelligence that you have. We are in the information technology, but as you will start to see, we're moving like a bullet into intelligent technology. It is upon us all to showcase our intelligence, our thought leadership in the chosen profession that we are in. I'm so happy that I did that probably 10 plus years ago on platforms like LinkedIn, not to just have it as a place to park my resume, but a place to actually showcase who I am, what I stand for, what my passions are about, how can I elevate others, specifically in the target audience that I'm looking to elevate. So thank you for having me on the show. I'm sure we're going to have a impactful discussion today. And I am the CEO and founder of 5 Star BDM. That is for branddevelopmentmasters.com.
All right, thanks for that share. It's always a pleasure just listening to you, speak about your experience and the wealth of knowledge that you have. I'm certain that you will be a tremendous, asset to everyone listening to you. I want to come to Peter. Peter, can you give us a brief idea in terms of who you are, what you represent in terms of the master planning and the legacy chronicle?
Yes, certainly. It's a delight to be here, and those who are listening to us for the first time. When you come here, what you will find is a volume of information that will transform your life and give you a sense of understanding in where you're coming from as an individual. We talk in particularly in the area that's in my area of specialty. I come across individuals on a day-by-day basis who has passion, they have desire to do well. They are big dreams and aspirations, but they have not taken the time out to look at the components that will enable them to get to whatever desire, dreams, and aspirations they have. And a lot of individuals, for example, I'm speaking with a young man now, and he's between jobs, and he wants to represent himself well, and he's sending out resume and even getting himself to be certified in a particular field of expertise so that he can get maybe a better representation of himself. And I'm trying to get him to understand that what you need to have is a broadened view of who you are so that you can be able to represent yourself, the various components of who he is, so that people can understand him. And I let him know that, look, you need to package your information, package what you know into a book. So when you present yourself and just presenting a resume, how nice it would have been if he also presented himself as an author. And that's the world that we're living in now, where whatever area that we want to represent yourself in a resume alone, because there are thousands of resumes that are going out. So we're encouraging individuals through the Legacy Chronicles Growth Program for people to take that step, take your total life in consideration, your backstory, um, as well as your dreams and aspirations, and package that as a book, package yourself as a speaker, as a consultant, and all of that. It is so easy to do that right now. But the best way to get that done is when individuals understand the broadened aspects of their lives and create a plan, design their lives on paper, and be very intentional about it. And that comes right to the topic that we're speaking into now about branding. And we're talking about branding for beginners. Every professional person, well, every individual overall is a brand. How you present that brand in a very simple way is what we assist individuals to do.
All right, thanks for that share, Peter. I'm going to now come to Paul. Paul, for those who might be looking at the program for the first time, can you help the audience to understand who you are? And after that, I would like you to tell us about the different financial instruments that you represent. All to you, Paul.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everybody on the stage. Also, it's always a pleasure being here with all of you guys and ladies. My name is Paul Whitehouse. I'm one of two owners of Patriot Business Finance Consultants. We're located in Northeast Ohio near Cleveland. And to make it short, we are here to help you get all the financing that you need for your existing or startup business under the best terms, conditions, and lowest cost of money available. We do that through a wide network of lenders. And unless we're doing an SBA loan for you, then these lenders are not banks. They're direct lenders and they're specialists in their field. Equipment financing. You can go to your bank for equipment financing. They'll do it. But are they the best? Is it the best deal structure? Is it the best circumstances? And is it the lowest cost of money? Very important. Every dollar that you save, every dollar that we can help you save, that goes directly to your bottom line. So the financial products that we can help you with would be equipment financing. Any industry, any state, any credit, any equipment. Commercial and investment property financing. Some programs you may or may not have heard of. If you're into manufacturing and or business to business sales, you probably know these. But factoring, sell your accounts receivable. Do not wait. Well, if you're totally strong with cash, because that is a circumstance that you might not mind waiting 30, 45, 60 days for payment. But if cash flow is slow because you're growing, well, one of your greatest assets of your business are your accounts receivable. So sell them 97, 98 cents on the dollar, 80% advance. The other 20% comes to you minus the fee when your client pays. Gives you immediate cash flow for daily operations and for growth. Purchase order financing and growth capital from investors for existing businesses with strong financials. That's easy. Or startups, um, Securities and Exchange Commission compliant capital raises. How do you raise money for an unknown industry, an unknown product? There's so much to talk about, but I want to leave you with this. Two things. If anybody's ever discussing raising capital for your business, you better make sure that they attach the word Securities and Exchange Commission compliant at the end of it. Very important. And if you do want to work with us, because we want to work with you, please direct message Gary. Let him know that you want to set an appointment, and we will all work with you to help your business succeed.
I'm talking on mute. Thanks for that share, Paul.
Yeah.
Paul, I will come back to you in a few just to have you talk to us a little bit about the BFC, the Business and Finance Consultant. But to get today's program started, we're talking about business startup. We're talking about beginners, and I want us to look at some of the challenges that business startup are faced with. I think uh, beginners in business, they struggle to cash flow. That's a question I want to put to the audience. Beginners in business, they struggle to cash flow. Is there any truth to that statement? And from your own views, why do you think that those are some of the challenges that beginners in business are faced with? The struggle to cash flow.
Is that open to anybody?
Open to anyone. You can go, Mr. Graham.
All right, just want to understand. I want to just jump right in. Money is always going to be top of mind in any business, no matter where you are in the life cycle. And the management of finance is key. But finance is often a reflection of your overall activity and your mission and vision. You've got to step back and look at yourself. I've had to do this. And understand what your strengths are. Your strengths may or may not be in the finance area. Your strengths may or may not be in business operations or in marketing. You got to first identify what your strengths, weaknesses are, to understand the opportunities and the threats before you even engage. The biggest problem I see is that people begin to engage in their efforts to grow their business without truly understanding their identity, where they sit in the ecosystem of the market that they're looking to penetrate. You first have to understand that. You have to understand the game that you're about to play. And you have to understand what are the resources that are necessary to play at the level that you want to play in. You have to do market research. Do your research before you get into the game. Understand exactly what the competitive world looks like. When you understand that someone says, okay, I want to scale $1 million business, that's fine. It's great to have that idea. Easier said than done. But understand, what does it take to develop that $1 million business? What does it, how much capital and sweat equity has to go into it? So I encourage everyone first, before they start out, and I've seen this happen before, it's the same thing. You might have a telephone, you might have a cell phone, but if you don't know the phone numbers to dial up that type of business in the market, you will fail, right? And that is doing your research, not only in your market, but understanding yourself, understanding what is your methodology, what is your uniqueness, what is the business problem that you're solving, and what is the value to someone else for you solving that business problem? What are the real finance metrics to that? No one's going to spend money just because they like, know, or see you. They spend money because you can do something for them, and they appreciate that you can solve a business problem. But I don't often see branding and marketing talking to the problem as much as they should be before they're offering a solution. So that, I see that as usually a misstep in the beginning.
Wow, that was definitely a lot. But I just want to recap on a couple of things that you would have said. Very often, the struggle for business startup cash flow has a lot to do with their overall activities. And you did mention that, because I do believe that one of the biggest misconceptions to have as a rising star in business is that you're going to cash flow optimize at day one, not taking into consideration all of the moving parts that is necessary to help that business to cash flow. I think that what happens also very often is that you f- you focus on the cash flow optimization, and sometimes you think it comes cheap. So it doesn't necessarily come cheap. You also mentioned sweat equity and capital equity, and sometimes when you underestimate all of these things, or you overlook all of these things as a pathway to cash flow optimize or to the fastest way to cash flow, there's where you end up shooting yourself in the leg. So thanks for that share, Grant. Always a pleasure listening to you and drawing on that rich wealth of experience that you have in terms of business startup and in the branded and marketing ecosystem. I want to come now to Peter. Peter, from your experience, do you think that business startups struggle to reach the point of cash flow? Do you agree with that statement, or do you have a different view on that? Do they struggle?
Definitely they do struggle because we look at the various stages for an individual to put their idea or their solution in the marketplace. Most business starts out from career professionals. They feel as if, okay, I'm good at this, and they want to present this to the marketplace. And usually, what they do, they just jump in and thinking that because I am a good practitioner, that will make them into a good business person. So, as Grant says, sometimes the proper research has not been done. They do not understand that there is a whole scale of disciplines that is necessary and that there is a cost associated with each stage. So they jump in, they present what they're presenting to the marketplace, and then they're beginning to feel the tightness of the strain because proper planning and proper preparation, the especially the financial, there is and often as we said on this platform that there's a cost. It's not just about in making the money, but there's a cost for putting themselves in to access making the money. And when those costs are not taken into consideration, then the entire operation begins to struggle. And so, in our world, that is why we empower individuals to understand why a master plan is very, very essential. Before you jump in, they need to do the proper research and actually analysis. So Jesus, in the good book, says, consider the cost. Don't go out there to wage a war, and then when you're in the war, you realize you're not adequately equipped, and then you have to wave the white flag and negotiate terms of, surrender. And that is what we see happening over and over. So we encourage individuals. This is why a master plan is so important. Even just to tell if their skill sets or the product that they present in the marketplace is even necessary and it is something that can scale eventually. So indeed, I would say 100%. Yeah.
All right, thanks for that share, Peter. Um, Ms. Lois, what are your thoughts in your experience and work? I know you work a lot with real estate investors and the average person that wants to all take out insurance policies and so forth. But I know you deal with business. Do you think that they struggle at the beginning? And what do you think are some of the reasons why they struggle? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I will speak from like my perspective. But overall, yeah, I think if you're unless you're gifted and have that money and someone like here's the money, go for it, you're good. But as a person starting up, I feel like the cash flow in the beginning, from my experience, it's slow. And I know that I went through different challenges. One, not knowing how to properly market myself, not having a business plan, not knowing that I should have sit with like a business like consultant, just putting things together. And I think with all of those things, not planning correctly and just doing so many different things, trying to focus on like how can I grow my business, like just focusing on so many different things, that was detrimental to me. So I realized that I had to step back, reassess, write down my plans, but not just write down a plan, but also put like action steps to it and deadline. But I had to be true to myself and be realistic about just staying focused on one thing, be great at it, and then move on to the next. I realize that in my world, whether it's real estate or insurance, not following up with potential clients, that's like a downfall. And I think that goes for a lot of business. Like, you meet people, but if you're not following up, then you're missing out on the possibility of building up that cash flow. So I do believe in stepping back, reassessing, whether it's a monthly basis or quarterly, just looking at like what you're doing, see where you can improve or tweak things. But I also think that it's good to sit with a professional, someone who either is in your field, went through it, is successful, or just sit with like a business planner, someone who can help you strategize if you feel like you're lacking that, to help build up that cash flow. And those are just some of the things that the end of last year going into this year I started like just doing for myself, in order to improve my cash flow.
All right. Thanks for that share. And I want you to keep your fingers on the solutions because we're going to talk about some of the solutions just now. We're right now dealing with some of the challenges that businesses are faced with startup. And then we're going to come to the challenge. And we're going to also show some of the fastest things that they can do or some of the fastest way to help them to cash flow. Um, Paul, what is your take?
Okay. Okay. Touching on what Mr. Grant said, like, and I know he knows this, but cash flow and financing are different. They're separate. You need cash flow to be approved for financing in most cases, not every case. I mean, it can happen without cash flow, pre-revenue. And always consider the cost of doing business because it's not cheap. Okay. You have to put some type of capital investment for your success, for your business's success. And to touch on why businesses, startups struggle to cash flow, lack of marketing and branding. Call Grant because he knows how to do it. Lack of marketing and branding, lack of a plan. And if you have a plan, lack of a good plan. Maybe I mean, I've made bad plans myself, and I'll admit that. I wish I would have asked somebody for their opinion. Okay. And that ties directly into Peter, a master plan and somebody to help you draw that out and a good one. Okay. Unable to sustain cash flow, unable to sustain business operations until cash flow kicks in. If you open up a pizza shop, you've got cash flow on day one. If you open up a manufacturing center, you don't have cash flow day one because you got to manufacture it, you got to ship it. Then you're going to give them an invoice that says pay me in 30 days, and they might not pay you in 30 days. It might be 45. Okay. Lack of cash reserves, very important. Every business needs to have cash reserves for opportunities and emergencies. Okay. Wrong market. This is going to sound funny, and I'm trying to be funny, Gary. You said mix in some humor. I'm going to try to be funny here. And this might be some bad English, but you're in the wrong
Okay.
market. Don't try to sell a diesel truck to a skinny jean wearing, man bun herring, electric car driving guy because he won't buy it. You got to know who you're selling to.
Know
And those
your target market.
Yeah, yeah. You got to know who you're selling to, and that's who you want to focus on, because some places sell, some types of businesses sell to everybody, and that would maybe be a pizza shop. I won't even say a restaurant, because not everybody likes to go to the Mexican restaurant, or not everybody likes to go to the Italian restaurant. Most people do, but it's a pizza shop covers everybody. But if you're selling, I don't know, man buns. If you're selling accessories for man buns, I'm not going to buy it. So don't advertise to me. It doesn't matter. So that's my take.
All right. Now, very shortly, I want us to get into what I call the juicy part of today's program, where we're going to look at some of the fastest way to cash flow your business. But I want us to spend a minute um, responding to two questions that I would have received from some of our viewers. And question one is: do beginners truly understand branding? That's one. And the second one is: do beginners truly understand marketing? Can we respond to answering this? Each one of them a minute. I'm going to start with Mr. Grant. Grant, do beginners truly understand the importance of branding? That's the first question.
That's a great question. And I would say they don't. I think they understand the importance of marketing, but they don't understand the order. It's the right order of things, the formula of things. Understanding process is so important. You don't just start putting things out and making things visible. Like marketing is about really making things visible, and you're making your value visible. But if you don't understand your value, you've already made a big, big, big mistake,
Mistake. Mm.
huge mistake, right? And you've put time and effort and cash a lot of times into marketing without doing the primary thing first. Just like an athlete, you might first understand that you have a skill set that is marketable, right? It's like, you know what? This person can run very fast, this person can jump very high, and this person has a good knowledge base. That's just the beginning. We need to do that for you. We need to understand your attributes first. And then you start to get into what is the value of the brand that you want to bring to market. What is the value of the brand that you're looking to bring to market? What is they do a lot of times, and I'm sure Paul understands, you do evaluation. If you haven't even run an evaluation on the business that you're trying to together to put out to market, you're already at a loss because you don't understand your own value. You have to understand that first before you start going out and brand and market. First, understand these primary metrics and values that you have for the business first. Because you go to the bank and say, you know what, I want a bank loan for $100,000. All right, tell me what's your business worth. And if you can't answer that from an evaluation standpoint, understanding financial terms and what they're looking at, and what they're going to be really asking is like, what is the competitive nature of that business? And for a business that's, let's say, 1 to 10 people, what is the benchmark of value for the business in that market? If you can't answer that, you're not in business and you're fooling yourself.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Wow, that was definitely insightful. I want to come to Peter. Do businesses understand branding? And first question, do businesses understand the importance of marketing? What is your take? Do you think that they understand it?
And the I'm going to go back to what I said initially, and it's usually that individuals engage in the marketplace again. They are just thinking of, I need to make some money. Most persons, the general populace of individuals going out into the market with their product or their service. They're going into business already for the wrong reason. As much as they think that uh, business is designed to generate finance or money, and this is something that I learned, when I begin to do my research, and I'm glad that I learned it then, that you cannot just start a business for making money, because the money doesn't come because you set up an operation. You business because there is a problem in the community that fits your skill sets, and you need to know how many, as Grant said again, there is a ratio of individuals out there. How many out of every 100 persons? How many persons my solution that I'm taking into the marketplace? If it is just 1 out of 100, it's probably not a good thing to do. But if you can find a good ratio out of that 100 to serve, then it will be profitable. But people don't ask these questions. They do not research these questions. And so when they go in, that is where the problem comes in. So, that a bit of a research and that representation has to be made. And when they do that, they stand a better chance of being successful.
All right, thanks for that share. Now, in previous broadcasts, we did talk at a surface level about the importance of branding and the importance of marketing. Now, briefly on branding, branding represents a broad ecosystem. It's very broad. It's not just the product and services, it's not just the logo, it also represents corporate branding. Corporate branding goes all the way into, your corporate culture. It goes into ambience and aesthetics and so much more. I'm happy that we have Miss Lois here because as a real estate professional, she plays a tremendous role or can play a tremendous role in helping you to acquire real estate real estate as a part of your corporate branding. All right. I want to come to you, Ms. Lois. Do you think that businesses, startup, really sit and say, okay, I need a strong corporate building to make an impression, a good first impression? They say sometimes making a second chance, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. Do you think that they really pause a bit and understand the real importance of if they start the right way with not just the cosmetic element of branding, but the physical element of branding? Do you think they pause to really see the importance of this in your view?
I think it's a yes and no. And the reason why I say that is because, and I'm glad that you mentioned about like the aesthetic and all of that, because when you look at branding, and I know we're living in the world of social media, right? So a lot of times, like folks who I see and follow, they keep talking about it's my brand, it's my brand. But let's say that you are, selling real estate, and all that you're posting is either you, shaking something or, showing something that doesn't represent real
The
estate.
brand.
It's like, okay, is this really your brand? So I think
Yeah.
sometimes people think that they're branding themselves, but they're not. Like, you know what I mean? It's more of like, let me get that attention, that like, whatever, to promote myself. But like, is that really what you want? So sometimes I think people have like a misconception of like what is branding, what is marketing. So yeah, in the beginning, it depends on the individual. They may have that idea of what it takes to really like stand out and focus, as a brand, whether it's the building, whether it's the signs that you have. But yeah, I think it's a yes and no. It just depends on the individual.
All right, thanks for that share. I really love the angle you took with it. Paul, what's your take? We're about to come to the juicy part.
All right. Well, the short answer is no. And how about I'll throw this in? If you have a marketing degree, you got an idea of it, and you probably understand it. If you have a marketing degree and you're going into business, then you know it. But to what extent do you know it? Because experience plays a lot more. Mr.
And
Grant
the
has,
ac-
yeah,
yeah.
Mr. Grant as compared to a recent graduate with a marketing degree, it's a different level. That's a first degree black belt compared to a 10th degree black belt, and Mr. Grant is 10th degree.
Without a doubt.
There's difference. Yeah, there's levels of everything. So,
Yeah.
and then uh, how can you have a deep understanding of a subject without experience? Okay, when I went into business, what was marketing for me? And this was pre-internet, and it was a different business. But I'm stuffing mailboxes with flyers to get construction clients. It worked, but I wasn't branding myself. I was just putting out there what I did. I was doing, I guess that's marketing, but that wasn't branding. Nothing about that was branding. Okay. And that leads me to this. Some people think that marketing is branding, but it's completely separate. They're two separate words, so they're obviously two separate things. And as Grant said, they go in a particular order. So I think the answer to your question, in my opinion, is no.
All right, thanks for that answer, Paul. And I love how you put it. You may have a degree, but then you don't have the experience. So you haven't applied that knowledge to the extent where it has become scientific, where you actually have predictable outcome.
Mm.
I agree that in this case, Grant, because he have done this for so many different years in his life, he can actually predict um, the method that you're using and the outcome that you're going to get. And again, this is why I want to point people, in starting and scaling a business, you need to get the right mentor. You need to get the right coaches. You need to get the right sponsors. You need to be part of, the right support community that can help you to leapfrog and fast track the growth of your operation. And that's exactly why we have built out this community. And that's why we have brought in so many different talents into our community to really give you that support and to cut short your challenges and to accelerate your pace towards attaining success in business and in life. We just didn't put this community get together because we can. We do it because we want to add value to your life, to add value and to fix problems. So I really love the share that everyone would have given. Now, there is multiple ways to fast track your business. There is to fast track the business cash flow. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through a list of different ways that from experience that we have seen, you can cash flow your business. And we're going to take them one by one and we can examine them. The first one that I want to look at is, and Miss Lois hinted on this. She spoke about doing one thing at a time, one thing at a time. And we call it in my last book, I say you should master your MVO. So you're either going to market with your minimum viable offer, that's the 1 in 10 factor of brand selection, or you're going to market with your most viable product. All right. And because you're doing it, it reduces the cost of doing business. It enables you to be more data driven when you have the right knowledge. And because you're focusing on this one thing and you're applying your strategies for visibility, for reach and impact, it really helps you to cash flow that business much faster because the limited income that you have, the limited resources that you have, human and technical resources, is not spread thin doing multiple things. But let me go through a list of things that I believe can really help a business to cash flow fast. And I'm going to go through them and then we're going to come back to them. Market intelligence and breaking the no like and trust factor. Mr. Grant spoke early on about the no like and trust factor. If you're not known, liked, and trust, you're going to struggle to cash flow. The third concept here, the ability to leverage influencers. Like, for example, I'm starting a project. I want to go to Mr. Grant. I'm going to say, you have been talking to Fortune 500 companies. Can you put me in contact with Fortune 500 companies? Can you get them? Can you use your influence to get me to connect? So I think that's one way. The fourth concept, the ability to leverage sponsors. Sponsors could be, they may not be influencers, but guess what? They know people, they got connection. They're silent in the background, but they got all the right connections and they can help. The fifth concept, effective commercial production. That's capital intensive because you got to get, once you build a strong brand, you want to get it out there. All right. You want to get it out there. If you have limited budget, it could undermine your chance of success. The sixth is effectiveness and effective use of mass media. It's not just about putting your ad into the media or any media. You want to assess the effectiveness of it and the effective use of it. All of this. So it's not one thing you can do to cash flow optimize. I got two more here and I'm going to quickly go through them. Adequate budgetary allocation. Adequate budgetary allocation, access to capital, and public relation. All right. So I'll give you three in one. Adequate budgetary allocation. If you don't have the budget, don't talk to me about the fastest way to cash flow. You got to access capital and you got to be good at public relation. And the last one is effective use of social media and social media management. So all of these, and we're gonna go through them. And can we? I want us to just have fun with this part of it. Let's start with the first one. Mr. Grant, you spoke earlier about market intelligence, and you did spoke about the know, like, and trust factor. There's a barrier, and if you can't break that barrier, you're gonna struggle with cash flow. Can you talk to that?
Absolutely. Market intelligence. There's two things you got to know. KNOW. I mean, and when I say know, you got to really understand this better than your product or service that you're offering. You need to know this better than the product or service that you're offering. And those two things are you've got to know your target audience. You've got to know your target audience, and you have to completely understand the problem that that audience has that you're solving. And how big is it? Is it a vitamin? That's something. What I mean by that is that something that somebody or your target audience might want to do? You know, they understand it's probably good for you. Yeah, I can take my vitamin C, my vitamin D, but is it going to change my daily outcome that much? How much money am I going to truly spend on that? Or is it a painkiller, right? You've got to understand that business problem within that target audience, and is it an enormous pain? And the people or organizations that are trying to solve that particular pain aren't doing a very good job, or you've done enough market research, enough market intelligence. Now you've got artificial intelligence as your tool set that gets you speed to market, speed to understanding that problem with that audience. And is it viable? You've got to understand that before you know anything else, because when you speak to the problem that your potential client has, they're going to do what? They're going to listen to you. Now they're listening to you. You have a true solution for this. But before you get to the solution, that you understand the problem. Oh, wow. Most of the time when you think about movements, when you think about different social causes, these are a group of people with a common problem. Not a common solution, a common problem. And that is where they're galvanizing themselves around this common problem that doesn't always get solved. There might be different avenues to it, but it's they group, they create tribal awareness around the problem. That would be my suggestion to anybody when they start out and they start looking at market intelligence. Do you have something, or is this problem something you want to sit down, and if you were having a campfire like us five and we're talking about this problem and it draws them in as a great story, like, wow, yeah, I get that, man, that really is something that we need to deal with. How are you dealing with it? How are you dealing with it? And you're really creating audience around that. You're creating community around that. You have a tribal effect. You will find the greatest marketers, the greatest branders in our world. They will always come back to this. Do you have a tribal community that is centered around a problem that you're trying to solve? And that is why market intelligence is very important.
I love that, Grant. Get out of business if you don't have market intelligence, because you're going to struggle. As blunt as that. You have no business in business if you don't have the intelligence. The intelligence is what's going to help you to innovate products and services that is relevant to people's needs, wants, and expectation. And it's because you're able to produce products and services that is relevant to people's needs, wants, and expectation. Guess what? They're going to want to know you. They're going to like you, and they're going to trust you. I love that. You see what the master speaker can take away so much from what he's saying, right? Thanks, Grant. All right, I want to throw this next one out. I want to throw this one at Paul. Uh, the ability to leverage influencers is one way to fast track the cash flow of your business. For example, if you sit on Oprah, you're going to be a winner. What are your thoughts about this? Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. And I got a real life story for you. Okay. Sponsors, influencers. When people hear influencers, they think of beautiful women on Instagram, right? But influencers, Grant's an influencer, Tadesh, Peter, anybody who knows anybody is an influencer. You influence that person, let them know this person's a good person to work with. Okay. The ability to leverage them. How do you get to them? You call them up or you go see them in person and you ask them. Freeway, I love this guy. Okay. I've told you guys about him before. Freeway Rick Ross. He's pretty well
Yeah,
known in America.
yeah.
Okay. He's a good man. Whatever in the past, people can be redeemed, and he's got good intentions, good mission right now. Okay. He's just a part of the American story. It's what happened. He's an influencer. I saw him on LinkedIn and on Instagram. He's got a cannabis brand. We finance cannabis. So, and he's influential. He is an influential person. So we drove to Detroit where he had a speaking event and met him and shook his hand. And I asked, "Can we work with you? Here's what we can do." And he said yes. And it's that simple. It can be that simple. What
Simple.
that what that has turned into now is um, his organization. I work with Galen, his CEO. Galen has given me 2 agents to work with, and they bring us deals. They all refer deals to us. And those are deals I would not have had if I had not went there and did that intentionally. And we want to do it with many other people. Okay. Yeah, I got plans for that for certain influencers we want to talk with. My business partner sold Mike Tyson a TV in the late 80s. When Mike Tyson lived in Southington, Ohio, okay, my business partner got out of the Marine Corps, worked at an electronics store. Mike Tyson walked in there with his group and bought a TV. And Bob, being the sales, well, is Bob a sales professional? Yes. You guys would have to know Bob. Bob is something else. Bob's like a brother to me. I love him. He's a wild man. But Bob did not acknowledge who Mike Tyson was. He was just doing the thing, right? And this is our next plan. At some point, Mike Tyson asked Bob, "Do you know who I am?" And Bob said, "I won't use the curse words that Bob said, but Bob says, yeah, anybody who doesn't blank has been living under a blank rock." So then he sold him another TV the following day. So he sold him 2 TVs. And here's our plan. We're gonna find out where Mike Tyson has a speaking engagement at, and and usually there's those lines where you can walk through and shake hands. Well, that's what we're gonna do. And Bob's gonna say, "Do you know who I am?" So, man, yeah, sponsors, influencers, they can bring great things to your business. They can bring big deals. They can bring small deals. Everything is a deal. A deal is a deal, and that is absolutely a way to get business for your business.
All right, thanks for that share. Rubbing shoulders with Mike Tyson, one of the most influential people of all time, getting him to endorse your brand. Oh, my God, you got through the roof.
Well, we haven't done it.
Like
We
that.
want to. We want to. We got the plan. We've done it once. We know we know you can get next to anybody. Just get
Yep,
next to them. Find a way to do it. Find somebody who can put you in contact with them.
with
And
somebody.
and then if you say if what you have to offer lines up with what they like, there you go. It's done.
Yep,
Done
yep.
deal.
And I didn't want to say it now. I didn't want to say it at the end of the program, at the end of this part here,
Mhm.
that's exactly why we are here. When we talk about, Mr. Grant spoke earlier about, you know, the know, like, and trust factor, market intelligence. We're going to help you with that. You just spoke about influencers, working with influencers. We're going to help you with that. The next point I want to come to now, and I want to put this one to Lois, is how do you see working with the right sponsors can help to fast track the cash flow of your business? A sponsor is someone that's going to say, listen, I like you. I know where you're at, and I want to give you the push to reach the top. How do you believe the right sponsor can help to fast track the cash flow of any business?
I think you said it, the right sponsor.
Mhm.
And having that person who trusts and believe in like your mission, your goal. I think that's what's gonna really drive you. So it's partnering with that right person, someone who see, like like I said, and believe in your mission. And also like networking. So the more you network, the no network, I guess that will grow your net worth. But it's just that connection, networking, and having that right sponsor who believe in like your mission. That's what's going to really help with that cash flow.
Wow, love it, love it, love it. All right, I'm going to give Peter one, and then I'm going to take a jab at one, and then I'm going to come back to Grant. Grant, the one I'm coming back to you with is the issue of adequate budgetary allocation,
Hmm.
access to capital, and public relation. I want you to speak on that when we come into you just now. But Peter, um, effective commercial production. We have talked about this. It's not just about producing the ad because the ad is not being produced for you. Can you speak about to that issue and the role that it can play once you get it right? The role it can play to help you to cash flow the business faster.
Yeah, it's all about purpose, and in any sense of an individual entering the marketplace, the question that they need to understand is the purpose that they serve. And in our world of strategic master planning, when an individual themselves understand their purpose, and I went back earlier to say that the purpose of a business is not to make money. The purpose of the business, as Grant alluded to so many times before, is to solve a problem. And in solving that problem, then individuals usually have that pull factor in attracting other persons who are associated with that particular problem. So when it comes to creating an ad or creating commercial, people usually don't buy an hammer just because they want to have an hammer or a piece of tool in their garage or their tool bag. They're usually looking to buy a solution, and the hammer is because they have a nail that they want to drive into somewhere. So if you're gonna create whatever the situation is, whatever the gadget, the potion, the lotion, think purpose, think purpose, think purpose, always think purpose. And when you're gonna, because now purpose is gonna give you the words, the purpose is gonna give you the imageries, the purpose is gonna give you the color, the purpose are going to collect a number of data that you're going to know, fix into the copy, fix into the individuals that you're going to bring into that picture, the graphics, all of that, that is going to be used in the ad or in the commercial. And when you understand purpose and you communicate it effectively, there's a psychological effect that goes more than just the ad itself, but there is a pull factor in it because it is speaking to something that is connecting to the need, the deep recesses of the individual that is viewing that. And so my strategy is, when we think purpose, the commercial, it solves a lot of problem because you're giving the person, like something that is going to solve the need that they are seeking to have solved in their lives.
All right, Peter, that is a very unusual way of looking at the commercial production, but I must say it's a powerful way because when you focus on purpose, you're asking yourself, what's the purpose of this ad?
Mhm.
It is to communicate information to the target audience. That's the purpose. But do I know enough about the target audience? What I need to get the data. So once you start with purpose, it's going to push you in the right direction. I really love it. Different, but I love it. All right. I want to talk briefly about effectiveness and effective use of mass media. Now, one of the things that I've learned is that You may have a very strong ad, as Peter would have said. You did the work, you understand that it is purpose filled, it's purpose driven, it's aligned to the ideal client, and you take all the psychographic data and you incorporate all of that into the commercial production. But guess what? You didn't take the time to understand the effectiveness of the media. You didn't take the time to understand the effective use of the media. And they didn't take the time to perhaps communicate that to you neither. So if you're producing the ad and just placing the ad just like that into the medium of communication, you may be shooting yourself in the legs, not once, not twice, but multiple times. The entire advertising objective could collapse if you're not focusing on the effectiveness of the media and the effective use of the media. And Grant will talk to you about you need to have data. And one of the things that we were talking about recently, when you're going to mass media, you don't have data in most cases, updated data in terms of who's your target audience, the best time to get them looking at these programs, the size of your target audience, the appetite of you don't have the data. But guess what? You need that data to become clinical, not just in advertising production, but in the placement of the commercial. You need data. Social media gives you a tremendous higher level of data. Let's take, for example, take any one of the social media, YouTube, Facebook. They have the backend analytics that I can go to the backend analytics and I can see the number of views. I can see the number of subs, so I know who I'm reaching. All right. I can literally measure the effectiveness and by extension, the effective use of the media. Now, I'm saying all of this against the backdrop. Is this the fastest way to cash flow? Yes, if you understand how to leverage these platforms, it's gonna be giving you visibility, reach an impact. We're gonna come to that just now. And once you make an impact, guess what? Guess what? It's a greater chance to convert your client. And guess what? When you convert, is the fastest way to cash flow optimize. So we're gonna come right back to that just now, but I just want to add that little piece. And now I'm over to the wisest man in the room, Big Grant. On your point, adequate budgetary allocation. Can we speak to that? Access to capital and public relations.
Well, and I'm glad how you put that. It's so important understanding the data because the data is going to tell you where to put the money.
Yeah.
And you've got see in the past, a lot of people when they're talking about, especially from a marketing standpoint, you're putting dollars out there into television ads, you're putting dollars out there into radio spots, you're putting dollars out there into print magazine, and it's not easy to see the ROI, right? What's my return
Exactly.
on an investment? How can you see did that particular person come to me because of that medium, and that I got to keep priming that pump? Well, social media helps you to do that much, much, much easier than it ever was before. And then you can start to justify your spend. And you should be able to see pretty quickly if something is working or not, and if you need to make certain pivots, right? That is what marketing is today, especially digital marketing, what that is today. And I would tell you, any digital marketer worth his salt was going to tell this client, look, you're going to need at least $1,000 to $1,500 per month just to get going when you're looking at Google ads, Facebook ads, things like that, because you have to prime the pump. Just like anything else, we'll go back to you go to old school, right? If you've got a pump out there at your grandfather's farm or something like that, you gotta crank that thing a lot before the water starts coming out, and then all of a sudden it starts to really pour. That is what digital marketing is all about. But there's a certain time there. Like, Grant, I've been pumping this thing for month, 2 months, 3 months, and I'm getting very little off, then that automatically should be telling you you're not doing the right strategic position. You're not positioned correctly. It may not be anything wrong with the that actual digital asset, but is it positioned correctly? All these things are important. So let's back that out just a little bit, right? Let's go back to what you talked about a little earlier, public relations. Public relations is about what other people are talking about your brand. It goes back into the influencer market. Because it's people expect you to speak positively about your brand. I don't know anybody that goes out there and says, you know what, don't buy my products, they're really terrible. And give me money. That's not gonna happen. So obviously there's a trust element. You must understand this. Look at your own self. When you get an email from somebody, or you get a phone call or telemarketing from somebody, or you get some kind of thing in your mail, you automatically put up the mental shield that this is bogus. This is not for me. This is a waste of time to even look at it. And that's because of the medium, how they came to you. How did they come to you? They came to you cold. You don't know anything about this individual or this organization. Obviously, it must be false. That is a give me. So how do you diffuse that mindset? How do you diffuse that mindset? Is just like anything else. If somebody refers you to someone else and say, hey, Grant is fantastic, then they'll say, oh, really? Yeah. And he did this and this for me realistically, because you know the person that's telling you this. And if you know the person that's telling you this, the know, like, and trust factor goes exponentially higher. Now, how can I get that on a mass scale? Public relations is a big part of that, because you're like, you know what? If a government entity talks about Grant McGaw in a very high light, great. If another organization, a Fortune 500 company, says, you know what, 5-Star BDM does great services, and this is why, and they help me, that's huge. How do you get them to say these things about you? How do you get the business to begin to do that? How do you get the investments out there? Public relation firms today, most people don't know where it fits in the puzzle. Now I will tell you, it goes branding, public relations, then marketing. Because you've built your brand, now you're going to amplify your brand through public relations. And then when someone sees a marketing ad about who you are, the referral has already been set. It's already taken place, right? Because someone else that you know, like, and trust has vouched for you. That is so important to understand these formulas. So it goes back to, how much money do I need to prime that pump? How much money do I need to put in there? Any public relations firm is going to tell you it's going to take anywhere from $7,000 to $20,000 over a 3 to 6 month period of time in order to do that. And that can be done through podcasting. It can be done through publication. It can be done through all the different things they've done in the branding stage to understand who your target market or audience is. So they know that you hang on LinkedIn. Let's get some information out there. They know you hang like on Reddit. Let's get some information out there. They know you hang out on publications that are only industry specific people are into. They're going to want to make sure you get placements there. Then your marketing will begin to work. But you got to start looking at the budget allocation and say, you know what, how much do I have to spend on this? And is it measurable? Because if I'm going to put out $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, and I already know, because I know, like, and trust Grant, he's going to tell me, look, it's going to cost you X amount. However, on the back end of that 10 grand that you put out there, because you know the value of your customer, you know the value of the product and service, you're going to make 3X, 5X, 10X in a measurable amount of time, 6 months to 12 months. Are you willing to do that? Or are you going to just do organically, try to wing it, and never really scale?
Wow. And I can see you holding back there, Grant, because I know you can go deeper and deeper and deeper into this. I love that. All right.
Is it
Go
Is it
ahead. Go
okay?
ahead.
Is it okay to ask a question? Because I'm
Go
learning.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Lewis.
So from Grant, just based on what you're saying, would you recommend that in order to like know how measurable your marketing is, right? Sit with a professional and track that, put systems in place. Because I'm not sure who is listening to us, but like that just crossed my mind. What's your take
Absolutely.
on it?
Well, number one, you have to ask yourself, go back to what I said about an hour ago. What are your skill sets? What are your skill sets? What tool sets do you have? And what is your mindset? Really understand that. Try to understand that before you even engage the professional, because then you're going to see your gaps. And if you start listening to someone like, I just told you certain things, like, wow, I didn't think about that. I didn't know about it. I didn't consider these things. Then you're going to know what, I need to talk to this person. I need to understand how much does it cost to talk to a true business professional. So you want to talk to somebody. It's like I'll put it in an analogy like this. If you go to a city and you don't know your way around, even if you have GPS, because depending on where you're going, you're going to be better off talking to somebody who's already been down that road. They've already been down the road. Then they're going to tell you, you're going to go across this, you're going to see this, you're going to know this, and then you're going to get to your destination. Or you can try to do it yourself, and you end up bumping into all kinds of different things, right?
Choke yourself sometimes, right?
So good luck with that.
Least.
But how much money have you spent along the way? How much money have you already wasted? And I see this so many times, and I hate it when it happens. I already spent $20,000, $30,000 and added to do anything. That's okay. I understand that. Let's talk about it. And I most of the time when I hear that, especially when they tell me that, I say, well, what was your public relations before you did that? Okay, what was your branding? Let me see your branding and your branding diagram, your master plan before you got into this big giant, marketing spend. So you just spent all this money without having the key metrics. And then to your point, what you just said, who guided you in making these decisions other than yourself?
And you're not the expert, right? You're doing it. And it brings me to one point, the cost of doing business. Paul always say this, there's a cost to doing business. And if you sit with a professional, they're going to say there's a human resource cost. There's a technical resource cost. There's a capital resource cost. But guess what? They're going to help you to see the whole ecosystem that the cost represents. Branding and marketing, public relations, commercial productions, how to do it right, media assessment. You want to have the right knowledge. So the fastest way to cash flow your business may not be cost effective. It may not be cheap. You can do it because even when you're thinking about working with an influencer that can give you instant success, they're going to say, okay, if it's Jordan who went behind Nike, they're going to say, you're gonna pay for the name, right? You got to pay something, right? So I love the information that is being shared. And I want to add, just based on the question that Ms. Lois would have asked. We are doing these programs is to expose you to the level of expertise that we have in our community. So the next time you're thinking about starting a business, you have the expertise to think about in our community. The next time you start thinking about, I need to do this project, but I need capital, you have the expertise within. Because Paul is a financial expert. The next thing you're thinking about, do I have a master plan? You have Peter. The next thing you're thinking about, okay, I need to upgrade my corporate branding and I need corporate real estate. You have Ms. Lois here. So you have all level of expertise within our community to help you to make smart business decision. And let me say this, nobody here is novice. We have been old school in this business for a long time. All right. So I really want to thank the panelists for being here today. It has been so much of fun listening to you. I have another fun part, but I just look at the time and I see we almost be here for an hour and a half. So I'm going to leave the next fun part for the next program. And what I wanted us to look at, we did say for a fact that businesses don't understand. A lot of businesses don't understand the importance of branding and the importance of marketing. And sometimes they wait until it's too late, and too late shall always be the cry. So I want us to just examine, we're going to do it next week, the benefits of branding and marketing. So for next week, we're going to go deep into what are those benefits of branding and marketing to help business through their growth curve. And even when you get through that growth curve, you still need it. There's no end. You still need it. So I'm going to ask my team to just give me their closing remarks. I mean, it has been so much fun. I don't even want to end the program, but I know I can't keep you guys there all the time. So I'm going to ask you to give your closing remarks. But before I go to the closing remarks, I want to ask Paul to talk to us about the BFC and to talk to us a little bit more about the financial instruments. And then I'm going to come around the room for closing remarks.
Okay. BFC stands for Business Finance Consultants, and what we want to do right here at the High Net Worth Investors Guide is work with 100 people, not hire you. You're not employees. You would be 1099 contractors. You would be your own boss. And we want to teach you how to sell money. Simply put, how to sell money, how to provide that service to businesses because they need it and they want it. So you're not selling ice to Eskimos. You're not selling, as I said earlier, diesel trucks to vegans. Nothing wrong with being a vegan. You are selling a product that is wanted and needed to a community that wants and needs it. Okay. Equipment financing, real estate financing, cash flow products, capital raising. Will teach you full training, full support. Full support means you can call me at 10 o'clock at night if you got a deal, and let's do it. Let's not waste time. If that client wants to talk right now, then we want to talk to them right now. That's how we do it. And provide that service. We're going to give full training, full support. We're going to teach you to be an expert in this field. Right off the go, you won't be an expert. Nobody can be an expert in something that they just begin in, but we're going to take you there. We're going to get you to that point to where nobody will be able to ask you a question about the subject that you can't answer. And why would you want to do this? So you can make a lot of money. So we can all make a lot of money together. This is a together thing, not an individual, not just for me, not just for Gary, not just for everybody. It's for you too. It's for all of us as a team. We only get paid if that deal closes. So you know we're on the same team. We all want it to close. How much money can you make? You can make a lot. Okay. You can only make so much money hourly, and then you're taxed to death on it, and you only got so much left over. So selling and doing business is the way to make a lot of money for your family. Why do you want a lot of money? So you can do a lot of good things with it. So you can help a lot of people. So you can leave money to your kids. So you can set them up. You know all the reasons. I don't got to tell them to you. And we want you to make chunks of money at a time, not a weekly paycheck, not every 2 weeks, but we want you to get checks for $5,000, $7,000. And if you're getting, average commissions, let's look at a small deal, a $500,000 piece of equipment. How much would we charge to provide that financing? 2 or 3 points, maybe 4 points. So what is that? That's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And 25% belongs to the business finance consultant who brought that deal to us. So the question then becomes, how many times can you do that every year?
Paul, Paul, let me ask you. So on one deal, if let us say that deal is 25,000, it means that they can walk away with 25% being about over $5,000.
$6,250.
Wow, in one deal.
One deal. Yeah.
And
Now,
if they do multiple deals per month, they can earn unlimited amount.
as many deals as you can do. Now, are there
Wow.
small deals? Yes. If you're going to do a $40,000 equipment lease, then you'll make $1,000, 800 or $1,000. Okay. But, and we're not going to walk away from small deals. We'll do every deal, but we're going to teach you to scale up to the big deals, right? The bigger the dollar amount, the bigger the paycheck. So, yeah, those are the types of, and I like the word chunk, chunks of money. A chunk of something is a good portion of it. So, chunks of money. And then, as I said, the question becomes how many times can you do that per year? Yep, that's what
All
we're here
right.
to do.
Yeah.
Contact Gary, Paul at patriotbfc.com. Email me. If you email me, also direct message Gary. So we're both on this, all on the same page. And we're going to put the effort and the work into you to turn you into a money making machine, a subject matter expert, a sales professional, a consultant, and somebody who helps people get what they want and need.
All right.
Another
Thanks. Go
um, a,
ahead, Paul.
a
Peter.
BS coming in, a person who coming in, what kind of businesses do you recommend that they look for starting out? How do they recognize a good person, a good business to approach to start the initial conversation?
That's a really good question, Peter. And we'll teach that we're going to educate them on that and teach them how to market themselves. Because as a sales professional, you have to market yourself and be able to get the customers. So how do you do that? LinkedIn messaging, your branding, build your brand first, get some media presence, and then market yourself. We'll teach you how to do all of that. And the 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 quickest and easiest way to make a lot of money is to work with existing businesses, not startups. We'll help startups. We'll work with startups, absolutely, certainly. But as a business finance consultant, if you're working with existing businesses that have good to excellent personal and business credit, strong cash flow that can support the new payment, as well as the existing debt that they have, if any, and time in business is very important for financing. 3 years plus time in business, that type of a deal is a slam dunk. It's done. We'll get it approved and closed very quickly. Startup businesses, absolutely, we can work with them. We want to work with them as much as we want to work with existing businesses. But if I was, and I will give advice to business finance consultants, target existing businesses that are in excess of $5 million per year in sales. If they're 500,000 a year in sales, no problem. We want to work with them still. But the sweet spot that they would want to target as a business finance consultant is high revenue, time in business, strong companies. And they don't have to be companies. There's so much business, so many businesses across America. I mean, you might have the perception that you have to target big companies that you don't think you can get access to. Guess what? You've got access to everybody in the world if you ask for it, if you go for it, if you get influencers and sponsors who can make those introductions for you. And there's companies all across America that we're never going to hear all the names of the companies across America. There's so many of them. There's a person wherever you live at right now, there's a person within your neighborhood, 10 houses down, 20 houses down, maybe 2 houses down, who owns a large construction company, and he's doing good, making a lot of money. And what do you think he needs? New equipment. If he doesn't need it now, he'll need it next year.
Mhm.
Or if he's planning on expanding and growing his business, he needs more equipment to handle that additional workload. They want it, they need it, and you can provide it to them. And we want to work with you. You on mute, Gary?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I love to share, Paul. I just want to add just a little bit more to what you would have said. And I was saying, wow, because there's no limit to how much you can earn has a BFC, it depends on your leadership skills, your communication skills, your ability to understand and sell money. And we're going to give you all of that information.
Mhm.
The piece that I want to add, Paul, is that when they come into our community, as you said, it makes a whole lot of sense to sell to existing businesses that has that historical data because you're likely to make more from them. But we're not going to leave the rising stars in business out. As you become part of our training program, I know Paul would have identified a number of the key pointers, the key characteristics in businesses that you want to look for. But we're going to expose you to over 15 million businesses, not 15,000, 15 million businesses, because we have a database. Those are existing businesses, and you can look at the data and you can see how they have been operating over the last 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 years. All right. And the data is there. We're going to get that for you. We always talk about data. We're going to help you to get some of that data. So it's easier for you to sell. So think about this. You're trained how to understand money, how to sell money, how to relate to business, but you now have a data of businesses that you can now reach out to. And all of that's what we're going to bring to you. You saying something, Paul?
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing. Hey, one simple thing, just like you said, the access to database. But here's a database that's available to everybody, and I tell our consultants that we have currently right now. Every city has a chamber of commerce. How many cities are there in America? Go to that website, Google Chamber of Commerce, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Warren, Ohio, any city. Boom, they have a member directory, and that member directory has emails, phone numbers, and names of the owners and what they do. It's out there.
Right.
Messages, emails, phone calls, give them a call, or just stop in. The customers are endless.
You got it. You got it. So here is where Paul is now talking about specific demographic targeting. He just gave you a hack. So I trust you take note of it. All right. I want to now come to Miss Lois. Peter, you already gave your closing remarks, right?
No,
Um,
not yet.
no, man, I'm so wrapped up in this conversation that I'm forgetting who did what. You see where you're having fun, right? All right, let me come to Peter now. Your closing
Well,
remarks, my
we,
friend.
we hear it over and over. The fastest way for startup businesses, we have been saying there's a certain theme that we have been hearing. And I think Grant started out earlier when he mentioned that there is when the problem when people understand that there is a pull factor to problems. Problem has a commonality to bring people together. People are sharing the same pain. That is how movements are started. And so for that to translate into a solution for the business startup, you can do either of two things: join an association or build your own association surrounding the pain point that you are designed. And this is where, in our field of master planning, why we stress
Nope, he dropped off.
All
call
right.
all right. So why we stress individuals uh, focus on the purpose, because the purpose the solu- highlights the problem, and then it has the pull factor around which you can for you're either gonna join us an association, or you're going to build an association that is going to pull people together. And out of that, you will now be able to have the influencers, because in those associations, the influencers are there. But there's one additional thing that I'd like to add to that equation, as to create affiliates. If you want to have a fast way to develop the like and trust factor, the know, like, and trust factor, everybody knows somebody else. So if you invite individuals to represent your brand, and you give them, a share of the profit that you're going to make, then you do not have to be the person who is communicating the value of your service, but somebody that your audience or your ideal customer know will be using their credibility to express the value of your product and your service. And so that's a way to shortcut the know, like, and trust field and to start cash flowing. And that's it right there.
Well, Peter, you're dropping some gems. All right. We got to start, charging some big costs to the public for all those gems. I love it, though. I love it. I love it. All right. I'm going to come to Miss Lois now. Your closing remarks. I love to hear from you.
Well, you start off by talking about cash flow, right? And business owners. And
Yeah.
I'll just say that as an entrepreneur, as a beginner, when it comes to starting up your business, I think it's super important to surround yourself with like minded individuals and people who are smarter than you, who will push and drive you to the next level. I'll also say that just a suggestion, go back to like your childhood like self. You know, as a child, you keep asking like, "But why?" Like if your parent tell you don't touch that stove, and you're like, "But why?" And they say, "Because it's hot." But why? It's like you want to just keep asking yourself certain questions. Why am I doing it? Why? Why? So you could dig a little deeper into finding out like your purpose, what's motivating you to get you to your next level. So that's all.
No, no, no. What you have just said there is so profound. Digging deep, digging deep for answers. And, that remind me of data collection, data analytics, data leverage and data mitigation is about digging deep. And I do believe that you're right. Sometimes we forget that child's play, that joy that you can get from digging deep and getting information and, using information to do creative things. Business is just like that. So I'm leaving the best for last, Mr. Grant. I would love to hear your closing remarks, my friend.
Well, I tell you, first, it's been great listening to all of you talk about these different things because the knowledge is power, and that knowledge is shared amongst all of us. And I really appreciate that because everybody's point of view is so important. And understanding for me, say, well, Grant, how did you get to where you're at? A lot of times I listen to other people. One of the persons that actually gave me a great lift when I first started to look at from beginning a business to becoming an entrepreneur. And his name is Mike Kim. You might heard of him, might not. He had one of the largest personal brand podcasts in the world for a number of years, number one in the world. And when I first started podcasting and wanted to get into personal branding, I listened to him, and he was very influential. And he led by eight. We call it the 8 P's. And one of those is not even in this. It's called process. He gave me what I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're starting out in business, and when you're talking about speed to market, how do we get to positive cash flow? You've got to have a process. You've got to have a tried and true process that works. And it starts with fundamentals. So fundamentally, in these 8 P's, I'll just go a little bit over each one, is you have to have a point of view. Your point of view is how you see the world, how you see the thing that you're trying to solve. How do you see this problem that is there? Your point of view is so important because that's going to be your magnetic pole. That's going to be your north pole in your business. And from there, you're going to be to develop the second thing, which is your personal story. What is the story? What is the founder story? What is your personal business story around that? Because what people are going to tune into is your point of view and your personal story around that point of view. And that's important. And that's going to lead you to your next step, which is the platform. What is the platform in which you're going to tell your story? Is it via a blog? Is it a website? Is it a podcast? Is it through different social media? But you have to have that platform, and it's got to be consistent. And then that's going to lead you to your next step, which is position. How are you positioning your story in the market that we already talked about? If you've done your market intelligence, you understand where you're at. What is your position? Because Walmart is positioned in the marketplace, but they sell very low cost items, but they sell a lot of them, and they're a multi-billion dollar company, right? Or you can be Gucci that doesn't sell to everybody. They have a smaller niche market, but guess what? They're a $1 billion company. You need to understand your position of yourself, because if you don't do those first 4 steps, these next 2 steps aren't going to do you any good. That is understanding your price in the market. What is that price? And actually, I would flip that, because you need to understand what the product is. But some people, like, they put it out there, they don't understand the value in the marketplace. So your price is so important. Your product is so important, but it hinges on those first 4 elements that I just talked about. And then that's going to lead you into partnerships. Who are the right partners for the product or service that you're providing that you align with? It goes all the way back to your point of view, which is your personal story and why are you doing it in the first place. You need strategic partners in order to grow your business. And then you have what we call your pitch. When you have all these other 7 steps really lined up and you've done your job and you've really vetted it out, when you go to deliver your pitch, you're now in front of the audience. You do it with such conviction, such power, such data, such information that you're strong. You're strong as an oak in that open field, and you can withstand the resilience you're going to need in the open market. That is going to be the flow that you're going to have to traverse across to become successful. And if you do those things, you'll have positive cash flow. I guarantee it.
That's
Wow.
so. That's I just have to say it like the piece that you talk about. I'm a part of a book club, and the book we're reading, it talks about the marketing, those 8 P's. Like the book is right here.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. You see why I left the best for last. He gave us so much of insight into, strategic moves and, the branding and the marketing ecosystem. I really love it. So I'm really trusting that the audience today, you had gem, those who are listening to the program and those who will be listening to the rebroadcast of this program. I want to say this, and I keep saying this: we're not here just for the gaff. We're not here just to share information. It brings us tremendous joy to come here and share information. But we're here to do much more than that. This is a community of professional people that can really help you get your business on the road and into success. If you're an established operation, you need more capital to grow and scale. You maybe want you need to grow your brand. Perhaps you may be local. You want to go national and you want to go regional and you want to go international. You have a team of dynamic personalities here that can help you to accomplish that. So I just want you to think about that. And the next time you're thinking about I need to access capital, think no further than us. The next time you're thinking that I need to work with a branding and marketing specialist, take no further than us. The next time you're thinking that I need to, up level my corporate branding because I now need corporate real estate, think no further than us. And I can go through a list of other professionals that we have. Reach out to us. We're here to give you that support. My friends, I want to say thank you for taking the time out to be here today. As you can see, I don't want to close the program, but we have to go so we can come again. It has been so much of fun being here with you guys today, and you guys do enjoy the rest of the weekend ahead of you.